Executive produced by Michelle Obama, The Later Daters is a heartwarming new docuseries that's redefining love in your 50s, 60s, and beyond. The show follows 6 single people as they navigate dating later in life. One of the show's stars, Dr. Anise, visited Ghana, and guess what? She agreed to sit down with me to share her experiences in Ghana and talk about her experience on the Netflix series. You don't want to miss this. Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. Today, I'm really excited about the guest that I have. Her name is Dr. Anise, and she is on Netflix's Later Daters. It's always exciting to meet people who've come to Ghana from the diaspora. And today, I am so excited because not only is she an inspiration to myself, but she's an inspiration to so many women later in life who are looking for that partner. So let's get into the conversation with Dr. Anise today. Dr. Anise, I'm so excited that you're here today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you for honoring it. I appreciate it. This is your first time in Ghana.
My first time.
How has the experience been?
It's difficult to really put it into words because it's a thing you feel internally. As I visited the various areas, the W.E.B. Du Bois Center, the slave quarters in Cape Coast, all of them speak to me on different levels. So I can't really articulate everything I'm feeling, but I'm glad to be here, and it feels like home. It feels like family.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people say that it feels like home and family. Is there something that the people have been doing that made you feel that way?
Everyone is so nice. And then when you hear the stories of the 3 to 6 months in the dungeon and the 2 to 5 months to get across to the land, and someone in my family had the resilience to make it.
Because you wouldn't be here.
I can't even already say it without, but that touches me.
I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to come back to family.
Yeah. And you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, Ghanaians are very much into welcoming people back home because it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your ancestors' fault that they ended up being taken away without their choice.
That's right.
So I remember the first time that I went to the Cape Coast Castle. I was 25. I had just graduated university, 1998. And it was like, I knew that I was born in Ghana, but because I was raised in an environment where I experienced what the effects of racism does, because a lot of people don't realize there's racism in Canada too. Yeah, it's in Canada too. It's just that Canada doesn't have the violence like the US has with access to guns and stuff like that. But because in Canada, it's harder to get a gun than it is in the US. So the racism tends to be more in the system. It is in the system in the US too, but in Canada, I find that it's like, there's a lot of systematic, and the police also have the, there's the biases that happen with being Black. So because I lived in an environment where I experienced racism, I know what the effects are coming back to Ghana and then going in there and then hearing the story on a deeper level, because all we hear was surface level. Oh, slavery happened. Yeah. Oh, it was these years. Oh, some people escaped. Oh, like you just hear these things on the surface level. But then when you walk in, so when I went in, they don't have this inside the dungeon anymore. They moved it somewhere else. But when I went in 98, they had some of the chains inside of one of the dungeons. It was like old and rusting, but it was like an original that was in there. And it was like, to see it was like, so this was one of the things that was on these people who were here. And then learning that there's so many people packed into a room.
Yes.
And then what really, really gutted me was when we went into one particular, they said that this is where the women were, and they were like, oh yeah, and then the church here, the guy they would take the women and they would rape them. And I'm just like, what? Like, huh?
So Cape Coast chief, I can't say his name, but he came out because he heard we were here. He went through the tour with us and added additional commentary. So it just made it even more personalized for us to go through it, that he honored us enough with his presence to walk through that experience. And it was falling dark, so we had to turn our camera lights on, and we were only in there for 7 minutes. We're sweating. Think about 6 months.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yeah.
The human parts of you will feel something. I don't think you can go through that and not feel something. Yeah.
It's a difficult experience, but it's a necessary experience.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah. And then once you go through that, it kind of leads you into, the rest of your journey. It's like a healing after that happens. Because you see that despite that happening, the people here are warm and loving and welcoming. And there is an understanding that there are some people here who were involved in it, but there were also people who fought against it.
And there are areas to be proud of, that we have such a resilience that horrendous treatment could not kill us out. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, the resilience of the spirit of the people.
So there's some pride in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to be proud that our people have that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've built a nation, that is my opinion, that the United States wouldn't be what it is without Black people and the work that they did. Unwillingly, the work that they were forced to do. So, but after that experience, you've had the opportunity to explore other areas as well in Ghana, like in Accra. I'm presuming you're mostly been in it once you went to Cape Coast.
Well, we visited a village, and I can't say the name
of
it.
It's okay.
But we had heard they didn't have school supplies, so we came prepared with backpacks, school supplies, and we also gave a monetary gift. The school didn't have doors, and they said that snakes and various varmint would get in there, so we donated the money, and they're going to place doors on the school now.
Wow, something so simple.
And we were able to be among the children. They sung for us, we hugged and we talked, and it was just beautiful spirits, beautiful.
It's really good when I hear people giving back to the communities. That's really nice.
Paying it forward.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're coming along behind us.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew.
That was a highlight, doing that.
I believe it.
This is another highlight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So you're here with a large group of people?
Large group of people from the U.S., from all over, mostly Atlanta, but also Detroit and Texas and where's Howard? D.C. area,
DC,
Washington. Yeah, all of those, yes.
And have you all been moving as a huge group? Because I know it's like you see lots of people just walking from place to place, or have you divided up into different areas?
We have 2 tour buses that we chartered, and we move as a group.
Okay.
And we went to the forest, Kakum.
Yes. You walked on the...
I walked it. There's a path to go if you're not certain.
Yeah.
I walked the 7 bridges.
Good for you.
And I'm just like trucking along because I'm an adventurous person. You only get to do this once.
Good for you.
Like, I don't come this far and not try those things out.
Good for you. I the first time I went on it, I was so petrified. Oh. Like I climbed and I walked, I did one, then I stopped and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Then I turned around and I stopped. But then I went back again years later and then I actually did the whole thing the next time around. But
the part that makes it uncertain is, like, I was the first out, but as people join behind me, the boards are doing this. So you have to, for me, I had to get my body in the rhythm of the bounce versus fighting it. Right. And that made it enjoyable.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad. I want to shift now to later daters. What was it like when you heard that they were interested in you being in the show? Like how did it come about? Did you apply? Did somebody recruit you? Like, how did it happen? Because I know reality shows have different ways of doing things.
I was actually on a dating tool called Hinge.
Yes, I know Hinge.
And someone reached out to me and said, I'm using my father's profile. We're getting ready to do a docuseries and we'd like to talk to you. I thought it was a hoax. I ignored it.
Of course.
But this young woman was very persistent. She found me on LinkedIn. She found me on IG. And then my girlfriend said, Anise, I hear they're getting ready to do this docuseries. You should check into it. So I thought, what's one phone call? Could hurt. So after the discussion, I decided to get in the casting mix. I still wasn't cast, but and it was quite exhilarating going through the casting process, because first it's just a 1-minute tape of myself on my phone, and then they sent people to tape my daughter and I because they wanted to see our dynamic. And from what I understand, there were 7 casting rounds, and my daughter and I made it through all 7. And they say we were the only 2 that started at the beginning and made it through all 7. There was something about our dynamic. So
you do have a good dynamic together when I see you on the show.
She's got 6th grade faces. She's making like, who knew you didn't grow up? But that's our natural dynamics. And when people laughed at us, we're like, we do this all day long, So
So what is it like? So once you pass the process, making it through the 7 rounds, and then you find out, is that when you found out that Michelle Obama was the executive producer?
No, we were offered a spot and we were asked to sign the contract. And then I thought, they make Black women look so horrible on shows like this. And we said, we think we'll pass. But they really wanted us. And so they said, we want to put you under a verbal NDA, non-disclosure agreement. We have something to share. And that's when they told us it was Higher Ground and Michelle Obama. And I thought, I don't think she would do anything ratchet. Let's talk a little further. So they made some adjustments for us and we went ahead and signed the contract.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what was it like working with her? Did she come on set sometimes?
And see, that's what people think. She's the executive producer. She was not in any of the tapings. We taped about 4 to 5 months. And then they came back earlier this year to tape some follow-ups. But no, she was not on set. It was when I was invited to the Jennifer Hudson show that I got a chance to meet Mrs. Obama.
I saw that. I actually saw that on Jennifer Hudson's show. And when I watched that, it seemed like the two of you already know each other for a while.
Like meeting your prized auntie.
Yeah.
She's younger than I, but I mean, I celebrate and I honor her.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
I
got a chance to meet Mr. Obama.
Oh!
They invited us to the Higher Ground holiday party. And it was like meeting my grandpa, because he kept saying, young lady. And he would talk to me and give me wisdom. I'm like, this is just... And I met the children. So we were in the party and we met, Don Cheadle was there. Lupita came to me and say, I want a picture of you so people know I met you. I'm like, you want a picture of me?
Of course.
Of course, I took a picture of her too. So.
Of course. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It was absolutely amazing.
That is amazing. I can't even imagine. I've seen Michelle Obama speak on one of her tours, but I didn't get to meet her. I can imagine.
But when we found out she was a part of the show, I started speaking. I'm going to meet her one day. Something about this show is going to make that happen. I just believed it. So it manifested.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So with her being behind the project, I'm sure it had a lot to do with the way that it came together, because when I did watch it, it didn't come across like a typical, because I almost didn't watch it. A friend of mine, he in New York, he was like, hey, have you seen this show? And he sent it to me. And I was like, I don't know. Because I thought about doing some kind of dating show in Ghana or something, not the same way that one was being done, but he and I had talked about it before. Then I was like, I don't know, sometimes reality shows, people are like, just wild and crazy. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, you got to watch it. It's good. It's good. It's good. And then I watched, I was like, okay, this is actually good.
And see, the main daters, that's what they called us. They picked 8. 4 women and 4 men, even though only 6 showed up. We didn't know each other in the process. It's not a competition. So all of my scenes was with my daughters and the blind dates. We only met each other, the main daters, after it was all over, because one of the daters, Lori, she set up a red carpet event for us. So that's when and it felt like meeting family, because we'd been through the whole thing, similar thing together. So, So now we're keeping in touch. We're doing things together.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What are some of the experiences on the show that you were taken aback or surprised by?
Well, the whole process, there was a lot of paperwork. I had to fill out a profile about myself, my family, what type of man I was looking for. It was quite extensive. I had to go through mental, psychological exams. And so when the first date happened, he was quite a surprise. Because, they thought they were setting me up with someone who had done well, nuclear scientist. Maybe she hasn't dated a nerd, and he came with a little extra. So when he starts saying things that were very unexpected for him to say, not just on a date, to a woman in general, I was not expecting that. And so behind the scenes, I learned from the cameraman, they said, what's going on? Who put this guy in there? They apologized profusely to me for that date. They had no clue. He looked good on paper.
Yeah, and that can happen in real life. That happens where someone looks good on paper, because people are using dating apps, like you mentioned Hinge earlier. People are on these dating apps, they're on dating websites. People look good on paper, on their profile. You're like, okay, yes, this check. And then it can be completely different.
But we typically on dating apps exchange enough where you get a general sense. Now, you still might be meeting the representative. But if he's got those type of ideologies, he's going to say something as we're just exchanging on the tool. So I haven't met anyone on the dating app like that.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I've met some people who I would say weren't aware of who they are now. They did pictures from 10 years ago and they show up like 100 pounds.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, does this person not know that they don't
look the same?
And I'm thinking, I'm not going to break that glass menagerie, so.
That happened to a friend of mine. She was chatting with a guy and she was really excited. Then they set up a date. She went to go meet him and she's sitting in this bar looking around like she's looking for the guy in the picture. And then she's not seeing him. And then this guy comes up to her. He's like, hello, how are you? It's me. And she was like, excuse me? And she's like, she opens up her phone. She's like, this isn't you. And he goes, oh, actually, that's me. That was just after I graduated from college. And she's like, but you're in your 50s now. How are you showing a picture from when you were in your 20s?
So I always put current pictures, 1 to 2 years old at most. And if you want that college picture, put it way out there at the end. That's how you used to be. But you got to start with something present day.
Yeah. So I don't understand why people do that. But hey, it happens.
I think that's when they were most happy. And that's when how they want to present themselves. And they haven't really kind of accepted where they are now. That's my own personal opinion. I'm not that type of doctor, but that's my own personal opinion.
But it's a really good point because I never thought about that actually, that it's probably when they were the happiest.
Most accepting of themselves.
Wow, that's profound. I'm just now thinking about it. Because there's even people who do that with their Facebook profile or with their Instagram profile, that it's an older.
So my children have taught me that when I see a profile and they don't show themselves, those people typically don't like what they look like. Because most of us like to show who we are. And if you see this up and they never show their body, usually they don't like their body. My children have tuned me into these things, which is usually true when I've met the people.
So you've done, it was at 8, I'm trying to remember now, was it 8 episodes?
Eight episodes.
Do you think they're going to do another season?
People ask me that, but since I'm not an employee of Higher Ground or Netflix, I don't know that yet. I did have lunch with one of the cameramen, and he said, we can make, and the producers, we can make suggestions, but of course, they don't know. But typically a good second season, if they decide to have it, would be having back favorites, but bringing in new people, or even changing the location. But I don't have those specifics.
Right. You definitely are one of the favorites, I think.
It turned out that I am. I think that's why. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I was invited to meet Mrs. Obama. So that had to mean something.
Yeah, people are really like resonating with you, like some of the things that you say, and just. You're just like raw and authentic with everything. And then you're dynamic with your daughter. It just is, it's so relatable. I think that's why people.
I think at this age, especially when it comes to dating, we've all been through a bad relationship, whether it's death or divorce. And in my case, death and a divorce. And we have to do the work. I didn't get here by myself. I have a life coach now, Sharon Green, but I've had therapy as well because I have been in an abusive relationship and I didn't want to take that forward. I don't want something in the past having power over my present and future. That doesn't mean forget it. I've taken things from it, but I can live a satisfying life knowing that happened in the past and it does not have the power to happen again to me.
And what advice would you give to somebody who's still holding on to the past when they want to have a new relationship, but they still have something from the past that's like hanging on to them?
It's an individual walk for each of us. But when we examine our life and the past is still dictating what we're doing right now, do we really want to live a life that way, or do we want new, to make new memories? They've got to get there on their own. But I would suggest that do the work, whether it's therapy, it's just tools and resources. I really think in our culture, a lot of times people think therapy is a bad thing. I will live with a therapist now for the rest of my life because it brings so much good. It helps you see the blind spots. And even in the dating show, a behavioral scientist trained by Harvard, she asked me like 5 questions. Read me like that. She said, here's who you are. And she was spot on. Now I'm leaned in. Okay, what are you going to tell me to do on these dates? Where's my blind spot? So I was in there.
What are some of the red flags that you think that we miss when we start dating people?
There's so many. There's so many red flags. I don't think we just put it to just black and white, but I think we've already named some of them when people show up as their representative. When I was in grad school, they would say, this company is on campus. Get ready. Have your 30-second elevator pitch or this. And I would always get ready. And I thought, why am I always getting ready? Why not live a life where I stay ready? Become that person. So I decided to stop being this representative that I have to get ready, to live a life where I'm always this one person. I think if we can live authentically, know who we are at our core. We were born with labels, daughter, sister, and each of those labels comes with expectations. Then we got titles, first grader, sixth grader. And so we're trying to live up to all of these expectations still of finding out, who am I at the core of my being? What's my purpose before the titles, before the labels? When we get there, this is when we have a powerful and peaceful life, in my opinion.
Very deep and profound.
My book's going to cover that.
Yes, you're working on a book.
I'm working on a book.
When do you anticipate to finish?
When I can make the time, because the time just does not happen on its own, does it?
Yeah.
I have 100 pages, so I'm close. I feel like maybe 3 more chapters and I'll be finished.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And in this book, it's going to be life experiences in total. You're going to put in experiences from the show. Like, what's your goal?
So the book started before the show because I took my dissertation and I was trying to, my doctorate is in ministry. So I was trying to take the heavy religion and all that out and make it something practical. So it's choice without regret, living life without limits. And choice is actually an acronym that I will not reveal right now.
Okay.
But it's 3 main sections. We are about seeing, doing, and being. But you got to get to that being before you can see and do. That's the basis.
So for those who have not watched the show, what would you tell them they should be expecting from it?
I tell them to come expecting something that this show is giving for all ages. It's not a competition. It's about us in our daily lives learning how to be better daters, going on blind dates, and then the rest you'll have to watch.
You know, blind dates is something that I've always been like, I don't like blind dates, because every time people set me up on a blind date, it just does not work out. But I need to stop looking at it like that.
Your spirit is kind of manifesting that self-actualization, right?
Yeah.
So when we go on dates, I think it's important for women especially not to wonder if he's the one. That's premature.
Yeah, it is. When you just go on the first date.
Go on a first date just seeing what type of energy you generate together. And show up in your grace, because that inspires men to speak. You don't have to ask 20 questions. He's sitting here telling you everything that he is and shaking your head like that. That doesn't mean I agree. Don't overreact when he says something. Don't just shake your head. That means I hear you. And then by the end of the day, when he asks you out again, you'll know whether you want to say yes or no.
Right.
That's been working for me. I get asked out quite a bit.
Right.
So,
well, I'm not surprised. You're a beautiful woman, so I'm not surprised you get asked out a bit. Quite a bit.
Well, Atlanta's a hot market, I think, and I show up in places where I can be found, and I don't have an RBF. So people say that I'm approachable, so I appreciate that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So for somebody who wants to be dating and they say they can't find a date, what are they supposed to do?
Live. Because you don't have to get in the dating scene. A lot of times we find those people when we're just living. Do you like sipping paint? Do you like to go to the museum? What do you like to do? Get into what you like to do. And that person will have the similar interests. You're going to meet people. And so many people are afraid to get in the dating scene. No, live your life and the dates come.
That's a good way of putting it. Live your life and the dates come.
The dates come.
Yeah. Because I think we get caught up in this routine as we're older. Because I think when you're in your 20s, it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but easier to meet people because those are like your college years. You're always around people, activities. But then as you get in your 30s and your 40s, 50s, it's like people are set in their jobs. They have their routines. And I think a lot of people get caught up or hung up on, I had to go to work. I have all this stuff to do. If they have kids, to drop off the kids, their activities. And then they say they don't have any time to be able to find somebody or find a date. What are they supposed to do?
So they're in a routine that's comfortable. I hear women say, I just go to work and I go home. But we can't make big changes, but just set out to do one thing that month. Something different that maybe you used to enjoy and you've forgotten. Because when my children left home, as a mother, I've been catering to them so long, I didn't remember what my favorite dishes were, my favorite ice cream. So I had fun rediscovering myself. So I encourage people to rediscover those things you used to enjoy and life came in and just snuffed them out. Pick up one of those things and in 30 days, do it at least once. And I think once they do it once, they'll have the energy and the courage to do it again, the courage to do it again. Yeah.
And what are 3 things that you really enjoy doing?
Oh, I enjoy so many things. I enjoy meeting people, hearing people's stories.
Yeah.
I'm an adventurous person. I did the Cancun National Park and watched, I zip line. I love sports. I play fantasy football. I do so many things.
Yeah.
So it's just different for me. And I love being with family, traditions for Christmas and just being there. Those are important to me.
That's good. That's good. You mentioned liking traditions. Are there, being here in Ghana, are there any traditions that you've learned about that you can remember? Because I know it's just been a few days that you've been here so far.
I've learned so many. I probably can't recall them all, but the tradition of getting my African name. I can say my first name pretty good. The second name, maybe not, but Adwa. Adwa. That's so beautiful to me.
Yes.
And then the second name was like Danwanzu, something like that. Danwanza. I gotta practice.
Did they give you a certificate?
They gave me a certificate, and that means I'm an expressive person. I thought that sort of fits.
That's beautiful.
But it feels so good to me to know my African name. It feels like a part of me, a puzzle piece that I had to get. I didn't know it, but now that I've got it, I'm sitting up a little bit taller.
Yeah. And did they do a whole ceremony for you?
Everything. He talked us through everything, and we even walked down to the river and put our toes into it. All of those things. And he draped us with our new name and pronounced it. It's very nice. It's very nice to do all that, because that was the same day we went to the dungeons and all of that. So to end it with the naming, to come out of that solemn place to this place of rebirth, and we've returned. The point of the door of no return, now on the opposite side, it says the door of return. We have returned. I love that.
And what I love is a lot of people have said that when they've returned, their ancestors had no idea that they would eventually come back, because when they were taken, that was it. They didn't think they would ever make it back home again. But now here they are, several generations later, and they've returned to the soil. And
they said 75% of the slaves came through Ghana. Yeah. So that the probability that my ancestor came through here
is high.
Very high. Yeah.
Would you come back to Ghana again after this trip?
I would. I don't think I could do enough in 10 days. I want to see and learn more.
And there's so much.
Yes.
There's so much. The country is vast. A lot of people don't get a chance to see, especially like in the northern regions as well. There's a lot of opportunity to do things there as well. There's connection with the slave forts. There's actually a place in the Upper East of Ghana called the Piquoro slave camp. And it's actually a place where they captured people and held them there and eventually marched them walking all the way down while they were on horses, making the people walking all the way down, eventually ending up at at Cape Coast. And the people there have been telling the story, handing it down generation to generation as to what happened in that community. And they told a story about how there were 3 men who were helping the Europeans with capturing people. And the community actually came together and ended up killing those 3 men when they discovered what they were doing. And there's a project that's happened where they were doing some DNA testing in that area, that there's people in that community whose DNA have matched about 200 people in the US.
Wow.
And some of them, I think about 20 of them have come to Ghana and met with the people who their DNA matched with. It's like unbelievable.
And think about, this just hit my mind, the naming ceremony. The first thing they took from us was our name.
Mm-hmm.
And they made us forget our culture. So it's like I gained that back.
I'm glad.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that. I'm glad. It's an emotional experience.
It's just beautiful.
I hope that
beautiful. It's like a full circle moment, even though I wasn't the beginning part of the circle.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
even though you weren't the beginning part, something about, because this was something that Mayor Kobe was saying. He was talking about something about the cells of your DNA holding all the stuff from generations, and it's in you.
It's in me.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't speak it, but I'm feeling it surfacing. And I think it just takes a moment to just sit and reflect. And we've been busy. I haven't had a moment to do all of that, but it's there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure once you get back home, you're going to really reflect even deeper.
And I recorded so many of the people as we were going through it, because I couldn't retain it all.
Yeah,
so
you have to.
I can re-listen to all of that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Have any of your, the people traveling with you, have they had similar experiences to you?
Absolutely. We've all been sharing a little bit as we've been going along and thinking about how this impacts our lives as we go back. Because you're not the same. I mean, you're not the same, really. There's a spiritual element here that something has shifted for good, not in a bad way. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad. Like, I know it's emotional, but I'm glad
it's
that you've
emotional,
been able to.
But it's a good emotion. It's not sadness, although there is a solemnness to it that my ancestors went through that. But like I said, there's a pride there too. There's been so many things that our people have had to face, and we still stand, we still rise. I mean, even yourself in this country, you've returned. It's beautiful that some of your viewers said, would you please interview with her? And then you reached out. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Meant to be.
Yes,
Meant
definitely.
to be.
Definitely. The stars were aligned. I'm glad everything came together. Yeah, because I know that you're quite busy for the last couple of days.
I cleared my day to make sure I could do this. This was important to me. This was important to me.
Thank you so much.
I think it all has a purpose. It all will come together, even though I don't know the full purpose yet.
And I've already learned something from you today. Yes. So I've learned a lot from you today already. Some things that were said off camera, that I'm going to take in me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So what would you tell somebody who, because I know that in the diaspora community, there are some people who still have apprehension about traveling to an African country. Now, Ghana's not your first African country. You also went to South Africa previously.
I previously visited Johannesburg.
How was that experience?
That was great, but it was more westernized because I was in a certain brand of hotel, and I did get to go out to the shops and talk with the people. And they said, look at me, because I had braids, that I looked like their people. It was when I started talking, they realized that I was not. So I loved that. I love talking and learning, because everyone has a story, and they can tell me why the earrings had this bone, and I'm listening. Tell me this. I want it to mean something to me.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, that makes good for when you travel to be able to learn and grow.
I want to teach my grandchildren.
Yeah. So I was asking, what would you tell people in the diaspora, African-American friends of yours or acquaintances who may have some apprehension to traveling to an African country? What advice would you give them to just like release that apprehension and just make a visit? Nobody said you had to move there. Just make a visit. Yeah.
Well, as I grew up, everything we saw from Africa were these little half-dressed children starving. That's the imprint in our brains. And then we think about going, oh, your system can't handle it. You're going to get sick. And so we hear more bad than good. But Black people are living here. That means we can at least visit to get a sense of what it is and then make the determination versus the propaganda that we've been fed. I feel miseducated because I learned some things about W.E. Du Bois. I didn't even know. Why didn't I know this?
Me too.
I'm like, okay, I've got to do more research.
Yeah.
So I would say come. At least make one intentional trip to come and experience the motherland. At least one.
I agree. At least one time.
At least one.
Yeah. And I think people like yourself who make these kinds of trips and you are sharing stuff on your Instagram page, I think it encourages people to feel like, oh, okay, if she can go, why can't I go? Because I know over the years, the last few years, with more celebrities making the trip to Ghana, it has actually opened people's eyes. I remember when Michael J. White came in I think it was late 2018, early 2019. He came with a group of people like Boris Kodjoe and Rosario Dawson. And so there was a whole bunch of people. And I had posted some pictures of them on my Facebook page. And then I had friends in Canada who were messaging me like, what is Michael J. White doing in Ghana? Like, why is he in Africa? What is he doing? Is he filming a movie? It's like, no, he's just on vacation. And they're like, really?
Yes.
And they're like, what's going on? Should I go there too? And then now I have friends who never in their life said they would come to Africa. Now suddenly are like, oh, they want to come to Ghana. After seeing these high profile people that they follow, they feel like, okay, I feel comfortable to also make that trip.
And during this trip, because people are recognizing me because of the Later Daters, I've met people from Texas, Abu Dhabi, London, Detroit. I mean, people are coming from all over.
Yeah.
So I think wherever they live in America, make that plan. Even if you got to do a payment plan to yourself to afford it, you can make the trip you want and stay where you want to at least come once. I think once we come once, our minds will be more open because I didn't see any half-naked children with big bellies. I didn't see that. And I went to a village, hugged the children.
Yeah.
They were so nicely dressed, so well-mannered. Their spirits were so kind. It felt like me. I think we need those connections. We really do.
I agree. How does it feel getting recognized from the show? Because it's like you got this instant global stardom, versus, you may have been high profile in your community and in the greater Atlanta region, maybe people knew you there, but now it's like this global, because I know people here in Ghana watching the show, and I've heard of people in Nigeria watching the show, and you have people everywhere in the world watching you now. You're a global superstar.
Well, before it actually went live, I prayed and said, God, allow it to be what you fashioned. Nothing more, nothing less. And I believe you've prepared me for it. And now as I go places, people want to tell me their stories, how I inspired them. And that I'm flattered and humbled that just my life alone could inspire them. One woman said, I'm now in the gym. Another woman says, I'm back dating. And this young, beautiful woman in her 20s, you inspired me. You are a professional woman and you handle yourself so well. So that's very flattering that your regular, everyday life, you're in their living rooms and bedrooms. You can inspire someone that the world has bad in it, but we can live an intentional life, live the life we want. So it's been great. I want to hear the stories. So when they ask for my picture, I ask for their picture as well. I want to remember the moment.
Yeah.
So I accept it. I'm being gracious about it. Someone says, you're probably getting tired. I said, no, because everyone has been so overwhelmingly positive. Why would I get tired of that?
They probably are thinking about how we see some celebrities who exude the attitude of being tired of the attention. That's probably why the people are asking those questions. I had a
friend who was pseudo-celebrity way back, and he said, if you reach certain status and you don't feel like you can give as you go out, then stay your butt at home. Because your viewers, your fans, whatever you're calling them, don't know that. They saw what you presented. So if I can't be a gracious person, then stay at home that day. That's not the day to go out. So So far, I haven't had those days because people are so, that energy, it feeds us in good ways.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out today. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
It's
thank
been
you.
really good.
Thank you.
Really, really good. Really good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I feel honored.
Yeah, I'm honored that you took the time out because I know you're getting a lot of requests. I'm sure you are.
Oh, listen. You are one of my highlights.
Oh,
you are.
Thank you.
Even though I've had some great press, LA Times and People, I've had Ivy Prosper.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yes.
I really appreciate you. It's been a good one. It's been a really good one. I want to thank you for watching. If you want people to reach out to you for any particular reason, how can they find you?
I'm on all of my social media platforms as Anise in Action.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then before we go, what is next? What should we expect from you next?
I say the possibilities are endless. I will not limit myself from what I know because new things are coming. It's 2025.
I know, right? What
We're alive in 2025. So let's get ready. Be intentional.
Great way to start the new year. Yeah.
Yes.
Get ready and be intentional.
Be intentional.
Be intentional.
Live the life you want, you desire, but we have to be intentional. We have to put legs on those intentions, actions. So
you heard her. Action. It's 2025. Write down the things that you want to manifest. Pray. Stay in the spirit. Keep people around you who support you as well. Because I think that's also another thing.
That's right.
Because sometimes you're around people who are negative energy and not lifting you up.
And sometimes you find that out by surprise. The Bible says don't throw your pearls before swine. Let's say you threw out something. Oh, I really want to do this. Oh, you can't. Then that's not the person to share it with again. Go to someone who will encourage you to do it. Learn people.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Anise. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching today. You can follow her on all her social platforms. I will put it in the comment section. It's also going to be on the screen for you if you missed the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share this video, like this video. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you. Thank you. Have a fantastic day and happy 2025.